Hello there, I'm Dejan and welcome to a new video. So the video you're gonna watch today is a video that is a bit different of what you usually see on the channel. It's a little extract of a live that happened on Chad the Third channel of the Counter It podcast. The video is available in full on my channel and you can follow just the link that you find down below in the description. But it's basically just the classic podcast where we try to speak about the current state of the game and the Tekken that we all love. Just for a more Archon gaming perspective rather than a pro player perspective. Unfortunately, as it was the first episode, there was some technical difficulties and StreamYards decided to overtake my good microphone with the very cheap webcam microphone that I have. So the audio on my side is not the greatest, but is good enough to understand the concept, or at least I hope. But you learn by mistake, and in the next episode is gonna be way better. Before I continue, I just wanted to thank every single one of you. Again, we almost made it to 950 subscribers. We are so close to that target. We are so close to the 000. And really, please, if you watched a couple of my videos in the past, you are not subscribed yet, consider pressing the red button. Don't press the bell. I don't want to bother you. I just want to be sure that when you open YouTube, in your homepage, if you want to watch a Tekken video, my face might be there. And as well, if you don't follow Chad yet, I'll leave the link down below for Chad the Third. He does some great content about Tekken to improve your fundamentals into the game. He is a real master of the training mode and I really highly recommend his channel as well. So, there is nothing else, just enjoy the show.
As you can see from the title of the video, we want to discuss what's coming up for Season 2. I don't want to put words in my man Dejan's mouth, but I think Season 1 is clear to be, there's a lot of interesting new mechanics, lots of interesting stuff, lots of stuff to be excited about, but there's even more things I think to be frustrated about. And I think most of us are hoping that in Season 2, we're going to get more of the good and less of the bad. So we just wanted to discuss, I guess, a brief summary of how we feel about Tekken in its current state, but more importantly, the things that we think need to be, or ideally will be, in the next season of Tekken. Because I do think that this has the potential to be the best Tekken ever. It's not there yet, but it has the potential to be, right? So we're just going to have a discussion as to what we think needs to be there. And by the way, if you're in the chat, you're watching this on Twitch, or if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to contribute. You know, I'll read out your comments, the good ones and the hilariously bad ones. So yeah, feel free to get in. So not to put you on the spot, but gun to your head. First thing, you're like, okay, look, Dejan, we're not going to give, or you're not going to take all your suggestions, but we'll take one, the most important one. There was one thing you think you would add to Tekken 8 to be like, all right, let's sort this out, or remove maybe for Season 2. What is the thing, gun to your head, that comes to your mind? Number one.
So, probably the thing that would bring the most improvement to the game, to just general balance in a gameplay experience, it would be just changing the accessibility to hit. For me, that would be just a massive problem solver in the first case. Like I think I told you already, it's instead of having hit available every single round,
right,
put it like a 2 usage thing. You can use it twice. Yeah, you have 2 usage of it throughout the whole game, and it becomes a limited resource. So that is as well, you start to stack some mind game as well. So let's say it's me and you playing. And I launch you, I get dual combo, and I pop it to finish you and everything. Potentially there are still 4 rounds to be played, but I have only 1 bar of hit left, like 1 charge of hit left for the next. And if I use it and I get 2-0 against you in rounds, I don't have hit anymore. But you still have 2 bars, so your combo potential is even stronger. So that is, it's an hypothesis, but basically limiting the fact of how hit works and how strong it is, it would already just tune down all the power creep that there is in the game. Because everyone speaks about balancing, as balancing is the main problem of the game. And at the same time, you have people saying that this is the most balanced Tekken ever. And it's arguably, you could say that they're both right. Because every character is very valuable. Every character is usable and is very strong. But the characters are so balanced just because, apart the top 3, all the others are like the first 25 characters in the game, they're just so strong, and the last 10 are no weak either. So you can say there's a balanced game because, well, defense is weak and aggression is good, and if you have, everything is very strong aggressively and offensively. So yeah, game is balanced just because everyone is too strong.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
And
I'm going.
just changing this accessibility to hit, making it more restricted, it will bring situations being like character being not overpowered in every round, still be very strong because character even without hit are super strong, and it would already tone down a lot the excessive power in the game, which in my opinion is the biggest problem in the game.
No, that makes sense. People are already commenting, especially on Twitch, with some great suggestions. I'm writing them down. I'll bring them up in a bit. But
Okay,
I guess I want to explore that thought a bit more. So you said two things that stuck out to me there. You said reduce access to heat, which sort of implies that you feel that heat in its current state, the way it works is fine. We just get to access it too much. So it sounds like what you're saying is that I would keep heat mostly the way it is, just reduce access to it. So is that your go-to?
Well, the point is, I was thinking about that, and if you think about limiting a strong resource and giving less access to it, it makes sense to have that resource to be very strong.
Yes.
At the end of the day. So, still, it needs some changes. I was listening, I don't remember who the other day, that said the fact that the hit dashes on block are generally +5 does not make much sense, because you have like moves that are usually -14 that become +5, as well as moves that are usually QCF4 from Dragon. Their move is +7 or +8. It becomes +5 for some reason. Even because their move is even better than it's better on his own than when you hit dash. But that's the kind of point. It's like, yes, I understand it's general. I think it was FedEx, I remember. I mean, I understand generalizing to make it simple. Like if somebody dashes in your face, you're +5. But this kind of generalizing, it makes some of the perks that you get from a hit dash too much. Like Blonde Bomb being the most famous instance from -14 to +5. But it's just because that's the most famous move I'm quoting Blonde Bomb. So yes, obviously they need you need to do this kind of small tweaks and everything, but if you ask me what is the one thing you will change, is the accessibility to it. Then how to tune down it and everything and the moves, that goes back to be just a balancing thing, like how would you change the balancing of the characters and everything, which there is so much to talk about.
I mean, that's a
we're gonna definitely get there.
For sure. That's a way bigger question for sure. But I guess okay, so I guess my second question then is why 2, right? Because you said not 1. 1 is too little, not crazy enough, I guess. Like you'd rather have it 2. Because in my mind, if you're going to take this tack, if you're going to take this strategy to address the problem, why would you not just make it, okay, you get 1 per round? Like, why is that not better? 1 per game. Like, and in fact, if anything, you could make it almost like the Heihachi thing of like, hey, your character becomes a boss character for this round. Like you're almost certainly gonna lose this round. Then in a weird way, you can almost make it as gonzo as you want. Like it makes it easier to balance the whole game. You make it as crazy as you want.
I've honestly, if you even make it more powerful, I think it would just become kind of boring, because you will lose the fight. Like, let's say now when someone pops it against you, yes, they're strong.
Yeah.
Some of the characters, they're too strong, yes, but you see where you kind of know you have way around it. Yes, you hold back and everything, but you don't see them as unbeatable as Heihachi when he goes in God mode. It's like Heihachi when he goes in God mode, I feel just helpless, completely hopeless. Like the only advantage of Heihachi when he goes in God mode is that usually the player who is playing against you goes in God mode, just stops playing. It's just waiting for a 12 frame to obliterate you, and that's it. And then they change so much of the game plan that if you win, it's because they make a mistake. But in my opinion, it was just because if you put it like only once per game, you basically almost lose the hit mechanic. It becomes way less core than what they wanted to be as a game design. And when I created this thought, it was more about any way to keep it realistic. Because at the end of the day, game designers, they came out with this game like this, to be more aggressive and everything. So they still want to keep the kind of footprint with it. Sorry.
But here's my counterpoint. I'm glad you brought up that game design thing, because I think a lot of the time people talk about the game without realizing that the fact that there are humans who have to try and balance this thing, which is very difficult, right? It's very, very difficult to balance a fighting game. And I have a lot of sympathy for the Tekken devs, right? But the thing is, it seems that Heat is Tekken is hard to balance regardless, right? Adding heat is messed up. And so, for example, you have this huge disparity between, let's say, Lee's power increase in heat, which is trivial, right? Versus, say, who's like the most, like Xiaoyu, probably the biggest, like night and day, right? The most crazy.
Yeah.
And like, the thing is, you can do that, right? How do you balance that? Because maybe you can say that, okay, well, this character is less powerful in heat, but outside of heat, the first character is more powerful, right? Potentially. So a part of me just thinks from a game design perspective, it might be easier for everyone and easy to accept when it goes wrong, because it will go wrong, if heat was only accessible in one round.
Okay.
Because even if heat was broken, let's say it was like fucking the Xiaoyu, Kazuya, Kuma, level of heat, right? You only have to deal with that with one round, and like people will still complain, people will still bitch. But at the same time, it's like if I'm superior to you in Tekken, in real Tekken, I will still out. Whereas a lot of the time, it can feel as though, man, I feel like, and it's me scrubby. I'm like, I don't really feel like I lost to this player because they're better than me. I feel like they activated heat, they made me guess, I lost, I died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's. I think that's the feeling that's really frustrating, and having to do that once per round or once per game, I think is a lot easier to handle than having to do that every single round, which is what currently is.
Yeah, every single round becomes too much. Every single. I honestly think it might work as well in one round. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna argue here that it would not work, especially if you make it even like if you leave it so strong as it is for certain character. Because if you have Lee Shaolan with just one hit bar for the whole game, it's not that it's going to change that much the character when he goes in it. Especially if you are a Lee specialist, what he gives you,
it's nothing.
He gives an hit dash.
Yeah, exactly. But then that brings up the question though: should hi everyone in the chat, I'm not ignoring you. I guess here's the question: should everyone's heat be equally strong? Do you feel? Or can we afford to have a game where actually this character is stronger outside of heat, therefore their heat is kind of weak? Because as someone who's been playing Leo for a long time, I feel like Leo's heat is kind of trash. But at the same time, I kind of feel like Leo probably should have a trash heat because Leo is so versatile and has so many different tools. Giving Leo like an even more crazy tool set, I think might be a little bit busted, especially when you consider that the fact that they have an install that they can access even without going into heat. So maybe for Leo, you make it so that the install mechanic is pretty good, but then they don't get anything additional in heat other than constant access to that install. Do you see what I'm saying? Like from a design perspective?
I completely understand. So I think in that case, it's the kind of conversation that in my mind ends up to go into kind of character archetypes. And something a bit more like on the Tekken 8 archetypes, where you can have a character that his heat doesn't give you as much, but is generally a bit stronger. But that kind of archetype, you can have it only if you still have access to it in every round, obviously. Because if you have a character that doesn't have a very strong hit, but is generally a very strong character, for instance, you cannot have hit that goes just once per game, because then your character is just too strong in general. Yeah. And vice versa. It's like, I don't think, so if they want to keep hit every round, they want to keep it as the mechanic that it is. Every round you can pop it and you can go into this over oppressive character you can be. Then I see characters that can have different characteristic needs.
Yes.
And someone being stronger, someone being different. It's a tricky question.
It's tricky, yeah. Because if we go with what we were saying, reducing it to 2 rounds, 2 times per turn, right? Then the value of having strong heat is weaker, right? Because if it's so, it makes balancing a nightmare, right? Balancing is going to be a nightmare regardless of what they do. You have to pick your poison, so to speak. I just want to bring up something. I want to hear your thoughts. Okay. So Luis Fernandez, great name, actually from YouTube, actually left a pretty good comment, and he was basically saying that like a lot of what we're discussing right now is about the number of interactions between 2 players, right? Because I think heat often reduces the number of interactions, because oftentimes you just have to think about when you block Kuma's activated. You just have to sit there. You just have to sit there. Electric. Fucking heat smashing. Like you just have to sit there, right? And it's very frustrating. And there's a lot of characters who have this ability to. I was having this one. You know me. I have to complain about Kazuya once per session. But like just before I even came on, I had this moment where I was sidewalking left, which is what you're supposed to do, right? And I got hit by the 4-4-2. Fine, whatever. Don't know why it has a tracking, but it is what it is, right? So I'm minus 16. I'm like, okay, cool. It's not the end of the world. So I'm like, all right, I'm minus 17 against Kazuya. not the best. I'm just gonna stand block. He does a crouch dash 1+2. Bang! I block it. I'm still -5. I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So -5. What are you gonna do, right? I decide to keep stand blocking. He does what is that move where he like punches the ground and then like this like devil spike comes out?
Yeah, that's
like
what
heat
is
engaging move.
yeah, what is
I forget the input, but you know what I'm talking about. Like punch the ground, goes. It's -15 on block normally, but in heat, it's
actually even more minus. It's that when you block it, but
it's great. You can launch it if you have a long range launcher. But the thing is, so yeah, he does it, but obviously he heat bursts it. So again, I'm still -5. I'm like fuck.
Yeah.
And then another guess, he hell sweeps me, but my back, because I've blocked all these moves, has now pushed me right to the wall. The hell sweep wall splats me. I'm gonna eat the whole combo. He's enraged, by the way. So then I'm like, yes. I'm like, okay, I lost, but I don't really feel like I lost at Tekken. Now I mean, I don't really. It's down back 1-2. I don't feel like I lost at Tekken in that. And again, I'm not shitting on casual players because I'm sure they have to deal with that a lot with other characters too. Like you block a thing, and then you have to hold it. Everyone, yeah, a lot of characters.
Describe. Almost everyone can do it. Like
yeah,
I don't have like even if you talk about Brian, doesn't have a real 50-50 with a low and a mid, but when he's in it, you're on the wall. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have crazy reflexes, you can react to the guard break. But
totally.
Honestly, that's I'm the first one saying that stuff is busted on runs.
Yeah.
I'm the first one saying there's still so many rounds.
So it's I think, and so like Louis was saying, like I think situations like that, I almost want them to be gone. Like I think plus frames are very dangerous in this game. And I think they have been a little bit too generous with plus frames across the board, and putting you in -6 situations, -5 situations where like you just have to hold it. -4 is one thing because you can sidestep meaningfully, right? But -5 is a specific number. It's a deliberate number, right?
It's not random, you know.
Yeah, it's not random. They chose that number
because perhaps -4 is way different. -4 is like okay, now -4 is the Tekken 50-50, the old Tekken 50-50. It's like okay, I'm minus, so I cannot challenge him unless I really want to go risky with a jab or something.
Sure.
But you could even think to challenge it, but you can block high, you can block low, but you can try to sidestep. You can try things. But I made a full video about this where I was talking about the 3 ways that they're basically simplifying the gameplay in dumbing down. I didn't say dumbing down, but dumbing down the Tekken scenario and everything. And one was one button combos. They've always been in the game since Tekken 3.
Sure.
And that's not a problem. It's actually easier for someone to learn something like this and learn the fundamentals of the game while it doesn't have to remember combos and everything, especially if they don't give you as much damage. Now, on the top of my mind, I don't even remember the second one, but I remember what was the third point. It was the only one that I was very against, which is something that has been expressed a lot in this game, and it's perfect moves. Perfect moves is moves they don't give you a counter. They don't give you just a counterplay. You know, I make always the instance of dynamic entry 3 because it's for me the outside of it.
That was the moment. Yeah, when they made that change, I think it was when we all learned. Oh, that's what you want the game to be like. It's not an accident. It's intentional. Yeah.
And it's like, especially with that move, it makes it so stupid because you have dynamic entry 3. You have to hit the mix-up. Okay, so you can do low, you can do mid, but yeah, the third option, which was a high power crash.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like, why does he have as well a high power crash now, and he can just go low and mid, your opponent can do anything. The power crash was in that stance. You could use the power crash in that stance because if the opponent would have challenged you, you would have got through his challenge, and then you start to have the mental stack. But these kind of scenarios they implemented in Tekken 8, they just flatten this mental stack. There is no more. There is no more this quick decision making. And I always remember one day, one of my colleagues, a friend of mine, is a chess master, like an official chess master. And I was describing Tekken to him because when you speak to someone that used to play Tekken in the past on PS1, they just think that Tekken is mashing buttons altogether.
Yes.
And I tried to explain him
the layers
very briefly what frames are and what really Tekken is. Okay. And then he looks at me, he's like, oh, but it's basically kind of layered chess 100 kilometers an hour. It's like
yes, absolutely. It's high speed rock paper scissors / poker. I think oftentimes I do feel like it is. Yeah, it's rock paper scissors meets poker. That's how I describe it to people who don't really understand gaming. Because it's like because it's poker, because there is gambling, right? And it's like and it's imperfect. Unlike chess, where you have perfect information, like you have imperfect information. Right? I don't know what my opponent's going to do, but I have a sense of what is the most rewarding option for them, and I get a sense of their tendencies. Like, oh, this guy's playing risky, so I think he's more likely to go for the risky low or whatever, right? But maybe he's bluffing, right? So I think I understand that. And before I forget, there's something I want to mention. So Shin Pete,